Hello and welcome to another episode of the Way We Grow podcast, a production of the Craft Growers Network. I'm your host, Nick Wolfe, and today our guest is Om Grohs. You can find him on Instagram. He's been growing for a long time. I got pointed in his direction by a mutual friend, and he's here today to tell his grow story. So, Om Grohs, welcome.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate y'all.
For sure. Yeah, no, you came highly recommended. I've been trying to get one of our mutual acquaintances, Craft Farmer, here on the show soon. He'll be here at some point, but he's busy and he pointed me in your direction. He said, "Hey, this guy might be able to hop in before I can." So I reached out and it worked out, and so here you are. And so tell us a little bit about yourselves, for the audience that may not know about you.
Well, currently I'm sitting up here in the hills in the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. I've got a just a small craft grow. It's 12 lights with under canopies. It's nothing huge. But I've worked in huge facilities. I've been doing this for a long, long time I started in 95, but I took breaks and stuff. But I've got several hundred turns under my belt at this point.
Sure.
A lot of lights, thousands of lights. I've done, 600 lighters. I've done, big shit. But now I'm just kind of working on growing the best flower on earth rather than growing the most flower on earth. Um, I got a pretty comfortable life. I was born and raised in Chicago and kind of between there and Peoria. Um, Super rough, kinda, childhood
Sure.
in a way, in a lot of ways. But yeah, that stuff's very sacred to me, and you know what I mean. It made
Yeah.
me who I am, and how I carry myself today. Um, but yeah, I mean, just in the last decade, I got really, really serious about figuring out how I wanted to really become an adult and grow old in this world, and what I wanted to do. Had to make a serious decision. Am I going to be a grower? And if I am, it can't be willy-nilly. It has to be um, tangible. It has to be a reachable goal. And I think I'm like halfway there. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
Building a brand, I think, is important. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Just trying to trying to stand out, you know what I mean, amongst a whole lot, a whole lot. You're in
Oh
Michigan,
yeah.
right?
I'm in Oregon.
Oregon. Okay, Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
mean,
So
there's just a lot of, I mean,
there's a lot. There's a
it's
lot of
Oregon's got the cheapest flower in the United States, right?
yeah, I mean, it's a tough market here, but we're keeping it going at the farm that I'm at, and so
How many
it's
lights?
doable, but it's hard.
How, how many lights?
We have it's like roughly 50 lights of flower.
Okay. All right. So that's
Yeah.
beautiful. I worked at an 80 lighter in Washington for like 3 years. I won five Leaf Bowl, Northwest, what are they called? Northwest Leaf Bowl trophies working at a 80 lighter. That's like my sweet spot, dude.
Yeah, it's I think that right between there up to like 100 is a perfect amount for like a small team to just crush out amazing flower.
For sure. Yes. Two or three guys, three, maybe four, and then
Yeah.
some trimmers, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Hey, well, I want to take it back though because you know, I like catching up to where people are kind of right now, just where their mindset is at. But I like to find out where it all began. And for some people, it started with cannabis. You know, they never grew another plant before they saw a cannabis plant growing, and then they just jumped headfirst into cannabis. You know, some people have a background in gardening with mom, dad, relatives,
nah.
doing. No,
Nah, dude, I didn't know what a vegetable was till I was a ghetto kid, bro. I grew up on SpaghettiOs and ramen noodles,
all
dude.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Potato
Well, so
chips and
then tell us
soda.
the first time that you saw a cannabis plant.
Oh man, you know what? I think we got some seeds out of. I grew up in Illinois.
Okay.
In between Chicago and Peoria, there's a bunch of farmland. There's obviously a bunch of ragweed around and shit. So there was a myth about this plant that grew on the side of the road, right?
The ditchweed.
Guys would go cut it, dude, and take
Yeah.
it in and dry it and shit. I mean, it was like hemp, dude, full of seeds, bullshit. But I remember guys doing that when I was probably 12 ish or something, you know? So this would have been like, shit, 12 would have been like 1990. Dude, you know what
Okay.
I mean? Like, we're talking way back. I'm almost 50 years old, so shit. But and then I think we started getting some sexy mexy. I had a buddy once I got 13, 14. You know, think we got little. It was in a little corner of a baggie back
Sure.
then, dude. You didn't even know what the fuck it was. You know, it was
But you
just.
got a seed.
We got seeds. We grew it, and then my buddy Chipper, who was a good friend of mine, found like Mark Emery or something. Right, so we're like 17, and
Okay.
we find ourselves in Vancouver buying seeds from fucking. We're above the what was it called? The Blunt Brothers or something, right on Hastings in Vancouver, British Columbia. We're from Chicago, dude. We've driven all the way out, crossed the border with a driver's license. You know what I'm saying? You could just
Sure.
go into Canada at that time. And we're fucking buying seeds above the Blunt Brothers. This is legendary activities. You know what I'm saying? Like some big, chubby dude sitting there with like, I swear to God, there was like a spotlight on him, like it was like super dark in there. He's like opens up I swear, he opens up a tackle box and is just like, so what do you want? You want the White Widow? You want the Super Skunk? He had everything from Amsterdam. Like, I don't know if these guys were like flying over there and ship. I don't know how it worked at that point. You
They
know what
had
I'm
like
saying?
all like little packs of seeds
Yeah,
for all the
I don't
different
know if they're
ones.
putting up their ass or what the hell
Sure.
how they were getting them back. You know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. But maybe I don't know.
Who knows?
But I then we got seeds from them, and we had Super Skunk, and we had White Widow, and we had Black Domina, and we had all these things from Cincy Seed Bank, basically, or
Hmm.
Bulldog or whatever. And then my buddy Chipper, he said he was a legend. He's no longer with us. Bless his soul. He always was he was on the forefront hauling like even the sexy mexies. He was the one who was like, dude, I'll just buy a trailer and put an old car on that bitch, and we'll just go
Pull a
down there
bunch
and
of.
fill it up with $200 pounds of sexy mexi, bro. And we did it. It was pretty cool, as a young kid. um but Chipper set up a grow. It might have been 4 HPSs. You know what I mean? And I don't even know what kind they were. This was so old. He might have got them off the fucking street light. I don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But in it was cool. It turned out pretty cool. And then, shit. I mean, we farted around or whatever, but we started to find guys that had better weed. I don't think growing really got serious for me till like '97. When I moved out to Washington, a buddy of mine was growing. Um, and he was like, "Yo, you should come on out." I think I had broke up with a girl or something. I was all distraught,
Sure.
young
Make a
shit.
big life decision
Oh, dude,
afterwards.
I bought a van. I bought a fucking van for $100, a $100, 8940 Econoline, dude, a
Okay.
$100. I loaded up everything I had, which wasn't much at that point, and drove that fucker with no. It had a leaky gas tank. If you filled it up past halfway, it just sprayed gas on the car behind you. It was amazing. And people were driving by flicking me off. I'm like, why are all these people flicking me off? It's so weird. Because I was spritzing them with fuel. But drove that thing all the way out to Washington. Got to my buddies, and he had probably I think at the time maybe like an 8 lighter or something like that. And I found a place of my own, and I set up a 3 lighter at that time.
Okay.
At that time, I was like the king, dude, with the 3 lighter. The way, just like growing super skunk. It was fire genetics. As a
How
matter
are
of
you?
fact, I've never
How are you like
seen.
controlling the room at that point?
It was,
Like when you had
bro.
this first three lighter.
It was a. I can't even remember the brand, dude. It was a timer that was like, big, bro. It was probably 6 inches by five, or 8 by 5 or whatever. Big door on the front of this thing, and you'd sorry, hang on just a
Was it
second.
like a metal box
Yeah,
almost?
metal
Yeah, with
box
all
with
the
a
ticks around it. Yeah.
yeah, and you screw on these things, and it was like,
Yeah.
"Dunk." And I thought I was messing with some big ass power, dude. At that point in time, I was like, whoa. and the cool part was I found a dude to come jump around the
Okay.
the the
Yeah.
deal, and that was cool. But yeah, 16, oh no, what was it? 14 acres. I had a 3 lighter inside. I did a bunch of outdoor, whatever. That's where I really got the fever, and I did that for a couple years. Was obviously taking all the herb back to the Midwest where I knew everybody, you know what I
Sure.
mean? And then
Was it
unfortunately,
just like hydro at the time, or were you doing like
no, raised beds. I had raised beds, 4x4 tables. They were like 12 inches deep. I amended all the soil. It was all organic and whatever. I was
okay,
feeding them, at the time, I was feeding them, earth juice. It's called
earth
earth.
juice? Yeah.
Yep. Earth juice. I had the whole line, dude. I was like, oh,
Is
you
that the
know,
Dr. Earth juice or whatever?
I don't know if it's made by Dr. Earth. I can't remember I think it's
I don't
just
know.
earth juice. Earth
Earth
juice.
juice. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so I
But I
mean, so
grew
you
some
have these four
fire,
by
made a lot
fours.
of money,
Okay.
or made more money than I'd seen, I think, in my life at that point. And then got busted in South Dakota with 100 pounds. I was taking back some other flour, or not 100, but it was like damn near 100. They
Sure.
said 100 in the paper, so, but, yeah. So I stayed in South Dakota for a few years for that one, and that slowed my roll until about, when that was '02 to '05. I was gone. I got out in '05. I had 3 years of parole. So '08, basically, I was free to do what I
Right.
wanted. I started promoting music at that time. The whole in between time, I had started a construction company. So I got out of prison. I was like, well, I can't do nothing illegal. So I started a union construction company. I started building like subdivisions and houses and whatever, bought a bunch of trucks and had a crew and, the whole shit. And which was really great. It was good for me. But
Nice.
once parole was over, I was like, fuck it. I was like, I want to start promoting music or something that's more kind of, fun and whatever. And so I ended up being a pretty successful music promoter. I owned a studio. I owned, um, I had a lot going on. So, and I did that for a few years, and slowly got back into growing, and kind of been at it ever since. Had a few things happen in between. Went through a horrible divorce. Moved to Mexico. There was times when I wasn't growing, but my heart was always in it. You know what I'm saying? You know,
For sure.
I had to fall down, get back up a few times, but it got really serious on the run that I'm on right now. I'd say 2016. You know what I'm saying? I started
Okay.
going hard. I was like, I'm gonna have to figure, getting older or whatever. You're like, what? You, I can't do
Like,
anything
how can you
else.
make this sustainable?
Right, and you
Yeah.
can't do anything else. Like, how are you gonna be like, now all of a sudden I want to be a landscaper? Like, come on, man. You know
No.
what I mean? Like, I just can't. You just got to go for it. You're either gonna. I can't start at the bottom of the barrel again. You know what I mean? I got to go with the momentum I've got, and I believe, like I believe there's a plan for me. It'll be just like it is. People, folks notice who you are, and keep growing great flower. Um, how can you go wrong? You know what I'm saying? Fuck the
For
market.
sure.
I don't have enough lights to worry about the market. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? All those big guys can compete over the gram price or whatever. But if people can kind of catch a vibe off who I am, and all the things I've been through, there's much more to that story I didn't tell you. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Some things are very, very sacred to me, and there was some fucking terrific, fucking terrible, terrible things. So, just go doing years in prison and all those things. It sounds cute and shit. A decade, 20 years later, but
No,
but
that's no.
but when it
It's no joke.
happened, life was fucking over, bro.
Yeah, that's no
So
joke.
with that being said, to sit and just maybe in a little bit in kind of a backseat role to all the big guys and whatever, and just grow the best flower and have people connect with a real person that touches every bud in that room. Just me and my girl grow that flower. That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying? I have some trimmers that come. what they harvest and they trim, and that's it. You know what I mean? Other than that, it's all us. So
Sounds
if
like a
you want
great
to know your
situation.
grower, yeah, you know what I mean. If you want to have really the best flower, like think about it like champagne. If you're like shit, that dude right there grew the grapes. He took them down. He smashed them. He did this shit, and it's been sitting for however long, whatever. Because my herb is all cured, shit, perfect. I don't serve up fresh weed. My herb is like, I swear to God, I got the best herb in California. You know what I mean? I'm sure a bunch of Cali boys would laugh at me right now, but they're all trying to
No,
be
hey,
rich. I'm not trying to be rich, man. I'm just trying to be happy, dude. You know what I mean? Seriously.
yeah. No, I mean, as long as like I think that one of the biggest things that I see an issue with in the cannabis market is when, like, an owner of a business doesn't smoke their own weed, or if that's
Oh,
one flag,
that's
right? But
one
then
thing. Yep.
if the growers don't smoke it, that's
Yeah.
another
Oh,
thing.
no, that's even worse. Or check this one out. So here's what I was saying the other day. If you can't name every single person, first and last, know their kids, their husband, their wife, whoever, of who's touching your flower, then it's not craft, dude. You know what I'm
Fair.
saying? You're a production line. You're like, hire somebody for the bucking bins. You know what I mean? And they're like, I
Yeah,
don't care who is that, Joe, John, whatever. They call you the wrong name. Just like seriously, it's got to be a family. Like if you can't name the people that touch the flower, it's not craft. I don't give a shit who you say. What you know what I'm saying?
I can see that as like a good standard, kind of like just thinking as craft as something that's like done expertly by hand, right? Like
Right.
then, yeah, like you
Accountability.
yeah, it's like
Accountability.
yeah,
You
it's
know what
not
I mean?
something that should be shipped or overly processed or something where you don't know who made it. I could see that. I think that that's like a good philosophy to have for what craft means,
I mean,
especially
with my little
it's defined
spot.
so different. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what they're like, oh, it's craft flower. I'm like, dude, you got 1,000 lights. How is this craft cannabis, man? Seriously,
Yeah, no, I
you know,
maybe one
because
run out of a thousand, but
but
I don't even not even the whole thing.
uh,
Um,
but yeah, I grew some good flower at that 600 lighter, but shit, it's nowhere near. I'm growing the best flower of my fucking life right now. You know what I mean? I got packaging
yeah,
coming, um, that's next level. That's not, doesn't have cartoons on it and shit. You know what I mean? Like it's super legit. So I
yeah,
think that's going to be a good look for the industry if everybody can kind of get more serious about it and treat it a little bit more like champagne or wine, where it's what I mean. Come on, man, we're all adults. I don't need Mickey Mouse on my package. I
no,
mean, it's cool and all. I know good growers that put Mickey Mouse on their package. I didn't mean to take a shot at nobody, but I'm just saying like. I think that trend's going to play out, and eventually we're going to be like, "Yo, here's this gold leaf, feels like you got a bottle of Dom Perignon. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Not,
Well,
like a Christmas toy or whatever.
so you kind of like talked about through your story, how you like once you got back into it after your stay away and your parole and stuff. When did you feel as though you were like, I am serious about growing the best flower? And what were some of the steps that you took in that journey to grow the best flower? Like, was it
I'll tell you,
yeah,
man. It was like, look, 2015, I moved up into the northern part of Washington to a beautiful little Victorian town. I was working at this little hippie store, sold crystals, and gave like intuitive readings and psychic readings. Right. One day, this long dreadlock kid come walking in. He's like, "Yo," and he is a little younger than me, maybe 5, 10 years, maybe he might be 10 years younger than me. And I'm like, "So what are you doing up here?" Because I've been around. You know what I mean? He goes, "Well, I run this grow up here at Dream City. The place was called Dream City. It was like 60,000 square feet. We're talking, it was like 1,000 lights or something. It was huge. You know what I'm
okay,
saying?" And he goes, "Why don't you come up and grow for me? Do you like to grow?" I was like, "Shit, dude, I haven't grown for a few years now, but I'd love to." So I got up there. I was there for a year. That same guy was the director of cultivation. He bought another farm, which was an 80 light facility. That's it. Had
okay,
40 inside and 40 light assists.
okay,
And out of everybody at that big giant facility, he looked at me. He was like, "Yo, do you want to come over and run this 80 with me?" and just quit here. And I was like, fuck yeah. That was 2016. So I started working over there, and I got, there was always like, yo, we're not yielding enough, and I was like, well, I'm not making enough. You know what I'm saying? There was always this battle back and forth and I
Right.
got into less of like a homie role with him and more into like, yo, I believe I'm really good at this, and I'm gonna ride this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I really think I'm good at this. And where it all changed, we entered the very first Leaf Bowl in in Washington. It's like the biggest award in the state. And he's like, "Oh, there's no way we're gonna win." Blah 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 blah. I heard about it the whole time, all this shit. And we went over. We almost missed the ferry. There was just, you know what I mean. He's like, "Oh," I'm like, "Bro, I'll walk on this ferry and I will get a Uber to the thing because we're winning, right?" We ended up making it. We go over there. I heard nothing all night long but negative, and they have started announcing, and we won three of them suckers, dude. I'm telling you, it was like the coolest feeling. I
Nice.
can just remember looking at him and at that point, that right there, that's when I knew I was good because he wasn't in facility. He was just the owner at this point. You know what I mean? So that was my flower. So he's like, "There's no way we're gonna win." I'm like, "I just don't believe that's possible." You know what I mean? I grew this flower. Blake and I, me and my homie Blake, we grew that flower. It just two of us, man. 80
Yeah.
lights. We did 80 lighter, man. Two people. No one
How
ever around.
many how many rooms did you have that split up into?
Well, here's what we had. We had a 40 light inside, and it was in 10 light rows. Okay.
All in
And
one
one
room?
row, yep. And one row
Okay.
was on, yep, all in one room. And one row was on day one row was on day 10, we had 10-day cycles, right?
All right.
So we ran 10-day cycles inside. Same with the outside. We had three tunnels. They were like 13 light, three 13s or something. It equaled 40, right?
Sure.
So it was two 40s, but the outside was light depth, auto light depth greenhouse.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Both about the same size, really.
What did
Um,
you win the competition with? What flower entries?
we won with Malibu Glue, which ironically I'm running right now, which is so
Oh,
cool.
nice.
It was crossed that same guy, Josh. Bless his heart, man. I love that dude. You know what I mean? But we were always, it was kind of that fury between us. He was also had a wife and there's partners and all this. I was just like, dude, I'm the grower. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this flower is fire. And the day that I got those awards, Blake and I both, honestly, I swear to God, I'll die. I'll still be talking about it. It was one of the greatest days of my life. Because again, I had a fucking kind of a shit childhood. So, growing up that way, and then I don't know, man. Then we went back the next year and won two more, bro. Seriously,
It's validation. I mean,
dude.
it's
And that right there, I'm like, I'll never do anything else. I don't give a fuck
yeah.
what happens. You know what I'm saying? There's no way.
No, I mean that's got to be a great feeling. It's especially when you like put the time and effort into learning something and it feels, like a lot of the times growing cannabis can feel like an uphill battle because it's a plant, so it does plant things and it doesn't
For sure.
always
Yeah,
work
yeah, yeah.
out as you intend, right? Like, like you want this perfect canopy and then one of the clones is just growing faster and everything else. You're like, "What the fuck? I
Oh,
didn't
dude.
want to top any of you. Why are you doing this?"
I know it. It's just like, yeah, it's a learning curve. I've got it now, fortunately, to where it's not so stressful. God bless
Yeah.
GrowLink, Athena Ag, uh, West Coast Horticulture, even great fucking people, great food, Grow Junkie. God bless those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know the cocoa, I know what I charge, I know how to veg. I go straight from a clone to a 2 gallon charge with I've charged at 4 EC. Um, and I don't water in that 2 gallon for like 9 or 10 days. And
Yeah.
they just are jumping. I water one time, I move them in, and I grow the best flower anybody I fucking know. I mean, I'm not trying to be cocky. I don't know anybody else that puts ever. I'm always like, let me see your flower. It's good, but I'm like, and now some of the homies, like my buddy Mike Wowtown, This dude, he's I if I can beat him one time in a contest, I will. He's one of my best friends, and I just can't beat him. He's so good. He's such a good grower. His energy, his family. I swear to God, it's like it's his family, and you know what I mean. It's the way he carries himself, and it's just the whole shit. It's what I'm missing, you know. And he's a little bit older than me, so I really look up to him, and hopefully one day I can be just like him, and hopefully one day I can take his ass down. Just kidding.
Hey, it's always good to kind of have that like that next level to reach for, right? Where you can
Or
be
the
like,
guy you
I'm
can't
gonna get
beat,
there.
the
Yeah,
dudes you can't beat ever.
yeah.
It's
You gotta
like
have
your
that.
homie. Like,
You
yeah,
gotta have
it's
that to push
beautiful.
yourself harder.
Yeah, for sure.
So kind of just briefly mentioned a few of the products that you use to grow, but let's since this is the Way We Grow podcast, tell us the way that you grow. Like, talk a little bit about some of the philosophies you have going into the garden and what you think might set your gardening style aside from other people. Because I mean, you're using coco coir, you're using Athena, you're using LED lights. You know, a lot of people are going to say, well, I hear a lot of people are using that, right? But you
Yeah,
and I
for sure.
both know as growers that there's a lot of different things that you can do in the grow, and there's a lot of different sort of
Yeah, I bet.
toggles that you can dial in. So
For
what are
sure.
some of those philosophies you have going in?
I think most of all, people get caught up in irrigation strategy that they have a hard time understanding. Um, I did um, when I first started even dipping my toes into crop steering or doing trying to reach these numbers because I was a pound and 3/4 to 2 pound a light grower like everybody else.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Until undercans come in and um, crop steering, which at the time we were just like, oh yeah, they say you're supposed to reach this dryback. You're supposed to, you know, we that's one thing with at the 80 lighter we'd argue about all the time. I'm like, bro, we're not watering enough. You know what I mean? Like these plants are bone dry. Plants don't grow without water. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I guess my biggest thing now and the difference in the way I don't think it's different now. I think the best out there, the all my homies are irrigating pretty much just like me in one way, you know, one shape or whatever, one way or another. Um, I irrigate like there's a gutter. Obviously, my P1s, you know what I'm talking about. My very
right.
first series of shots, I want them to start 1 to 2 hours after lights on and be completed within 2 hours. So I'll run like 5 shots. My lights come on at 6. Okay, so I give them 1 hour. I'll do a shot at 7, 7:30, 8, 8:30, and 9. I'll run 5 P1s. This is like, let's say we're in Gen Steer first 3 weeks, right? I'll run 5 P1s and I'll start them really small because I'm moving in really small plants. And then I'll get on GrowLink and I'll watch my graph over the series of 3 days. I'll know. I'll start at 36 seconds, bro. We're talking about 37 and a half milliliters 5 times. You know what I'm saying? Um, I try to level out my graph and get to where they're obviously week 1, 2, 3, no runoff at all. But I want to give them as much water as I can give them without getting runoff. So I'm going to
For sure.
increase those 5 shot times. Uh, by 36 seconds at a time. 37 and a half mil. So I'll give them 5 37s and I'll wait like 2 days. I'm like, okay, that's clearly not enough. They're drying out. You know, it's catching up to them. The dry back is catching up to me.
Right.
Then I might go to a minute and 12. That's 100. What is a minute 12? 60, 70, 75 mil. It's like 2 shot glasses,
Yeah.
you know, over the course of 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'll keep building that up until I see dribbles in my tray. When I see dribbles in my tray, I stop. And then I let the plant's still growing. So if you see dribbles in the tray, under because I put saucers under on stands so they don't sit in runoff or whatever. But I put a saucer, like maybe two per row, two per tray. And if I'm seeing drips in that tray, then I go, okay, perfect. I just achieved runoff right there, right?
Right.
So at that point, I've usually got maybe I might be day 10 to 15, and then I can let that dry back catch up again. You get what I'm saying?
Yep. Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like that's for a lot of the listeners out there. One of the terms that you used if you're growing or steering and that just means like generative. So you're trying to push more generative cues, either heavier drybacks or
For
increase
sure.
the electrical conductivity of the substrate. Those would be a couple of things that you'd want to be thinking about early on in flower, like what you're talking about. And then, yeah, absolutely, you're trying to maintain field capacity without like overgoing it, so that you can build that EC up over time to create more of that generative stress on the
Right.
plant.
Some saline stress.
Right.
You've also got light stress because in the first they're just now like, dude, they don't even know they're in flower until like day 10. You know what I'm saying? Then they're like, oh, all right, or maybe day 7. Their hormones are kind of, they're like, wait. And if you're like given hormonal changes due to light, saline stress, bro, I've pushed like 20 ECs out the bottom on day 21. Like my first runoff be like 20 EC. The plants are raging, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't all the book shit is cute and all, and it's great, but having a vibe for this plant and what's really happening is everything. It's again, that's craft cannabis. You ain't
For
gonna know
sure.
craft cannabis out of no book, dude. Seriously, I
Well,
barely read
one
a
of the
book in my
things
life.
that you said early on in the show that I picked up on. I don't know how many of the listeners would have picked up on it, but you said that you charge your pots with 4.0 EC. And so a lot of
Oh
people will be
yeah,
like 4.0, that's crazy high, and I'm over here like I run 4.0 plus veg through flower all the time. It absolutely crushes under LEDs.
do you
And
keep them
so
wetter? Is that do you not chase a big dryback then?
I do chase fairly big drybacks when I can, but I also don't try to. I'm usually flipping on day 12 or day like 14, 15
14. Do
max.
you top? No top?
If I go past 14, I have to.
Yeah, I might have to top this next round. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, no, I have to if I go too far. But day 12 usually, if it's like a really like balanced plant where it chalices out early on, it usually just is ready to rip. We also
Yeah,
have
yeah,
short ceilings, so it doesn't really help to go too long. But what we'll do is we'll try to also ride that early drybacks, like trying to achieve at least a 50% dryback from field capacity
for
if
sure,
we can.
for sure.
But like what you were talking about, how you're just slowly building that up over the first 2 weeks or so, because by by day 12 or 14 after transplant, as you kind of touched on earlier, I'm only irrigating them once, maybe twice, and that's just because I gotta allow for the roots to kind of occupy the whole space of the pot, and then
No,
by
for
the time
sure.
that I'm yeah, and then when you're going into flower and you are like, okay, I want to build this like circadian rhythm of them getting the irrigations day
Yep.
after day after day, you're like, okay, I'm gonna hit them with a little bit, then I'm gonna ramp it up when they chew through a little more, then ramp it up when
Yes.
they chew through a little
You
bit
you
more.
nailed it. I love you're. Some people don't comprehend it. They're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. I will set the rhythm when I put them into flower and I change their lights. And to be honest with you, in with me, if I could irrigate them properly in veg, which I could if I wanted to really set up irrigation the way I want and really
Yeah,
figure it out, but I don't because I'm old. But if I really wanted to figure it out, I'd set that rhythm in veg, bro. Seriously, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I
It
mean,
lights come
you
on
could
at
probably, yeah,
6. We've got literally you spit on them at 7, 7:30, 8, 8:30, 9, till till that spit ain't enough. Then
sure.
then you give them a little cup. You know what I mean? At the
But
same
I
time.
feel like within the same sort of idea that you want to lean as generative as possible early in flower to get these robust sort of flower
Right.
sets, and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
sets your whole rhythm for the whole flower cycle, right? I kind of love the fact that just irrigating them once, doing this initial charge of the pot at 4.0, 4.5 EC, transplanting your plants into it, and then letting them ride that first dryback for the first 7 to 8 days.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
mean, I usually don't have any substrate monitoring in veg, so I
I
don't
don't
really
either.
know
I don't
exactly
I
what
don't have
that
any. I don't have
that
any. And
dryback
it's
EC
bomb.
is, but
No,
it's
it's
got to
bomb.
be very generative leaning towards that first irrigation, right? And then by the time you're hitting that second irrigation, you're also like pushing super hard on the dryback again, at least for in my case. And so that might be a great setup for then little bumps of water, because that those little bumps, right? That's going to lean more vegetative no matter how
Well, you'll get
far
a
you're able
faster
to.
veg. You get a way faster veg. Like
Yeah.
if you automate your veg and don't hand water in a gen gen veg. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like if
Oh,
you
it'll
really like
go super fast. Yeah.
if you went like because I'm in 2 gallons, right? So if I potted up these 2 gallon Grow Junkie, shout out to Grow Junkie. If Andrew, I love that dude. It's the best cocoa I've ever used in my life. If I put a clone straight into a 2 gallon, I don't water for 9 days, 10 days, right? It's ripping. When I hit it with water one time, it's like what at that point don't have to flood it again. That's right where I would set that rhythm
Yep.
for the last 7 days of my veg or
Sure.
whatever. Like, so if I get to let's say I get to uh, let's say I go to not even day seven. I don't care how many days. If it's the last 3 days of
I
veg,
see what you're saying though, because then
if
by
you
day
set
8, you're
that
in
rhythm,
flower
you
and
go,
you're
okay,
8 days
lights come
ahead.
on at
Yeah.
6 because it's all my same light cycle out here. So I'm like, I could do it, and
Yeah.
I will guarantee you they would veg faster.
Oh,
Like
I
a
bet you
shot
you'd get
on
bigger
the
plants.
hour
Yeah.
every hour for 18 hours or whatever. Drop one off the front, one off the back. 15 shots of whatever, a teaspoon. Like, dude, they would rip
For
straight
sure.
up. Never have that one big blast that slows them down. Which is what we do when we go in. I do the same thing. I go in on like day 8, 9, and I water everything. And then by the time I load them, they're light again, which works out beautiful. You
For
know what I'm
sure.
saying? And then I can go into my rhythm. But if I started that rhythm in veg and then just change the light and the amount of waterings, because I'm basically watering when the lights are on. I'm watering, bro.
Yeah.
It's been once I get to bulking, bro. I water like a madman till I see six, eight. Again,
Yeah.
increasing shot sizes on my P2s. I start with very very small P2s. Every 90 minutes. So my P1s stop. 90 minutes later, my P2s start, and I do 4 to 5 P2s until lights off. So I
Yeah.
only do 10 events. A lot of guys do tons and tons of events. I don't do as many events as some guys, but
No, it's usually
teaches
like
them.
a seven
Teaches them.
shot ramp up, and then yeah, like 3 to 5 maintenance shots, and call it a day.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And my biggest shot ever is a 448. So we're talking what, 300 mil, something like that.
Yeah. I don't even know.
That's what it is. A minute 12 is 60, 70 to 75 mil. Yeah.
I
75
usually
mil is
my
a minute
point two
12.
nines.
2.5 drippers.
Uh,
2.2 times point 0.5 netafim drippers.
0.5 gallons per hour.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah.
So then that's a minute 12 is 75 mil. 224 is 150. 336 is what, whatever. And then 448 is 300.
Okay. Cool.
No, so and that's another thing. I just count milliliters, bro. And when it makes sense, it makes sense. With GrowLink, um, it'll tell me how many milliliters per plant I'm getting based on how many drippers I have per pot, my substrate, whatever. So I just like to know in a 2 gallon pot what's realistic. I'm like point 8, point 0.9 gallon a day per pot. It's
For
like
sure.
almost again, 3,000 mil, 3,500 mil. You know what I mean? In a two
Have you
gallon,
tried 1 gallon pots?
I have. I don't like them because my plants are typically so vigorous that they'll require in bulking a shot when the lights are off.
Okay.
Because if the lights come on, I'm bone dry, they're in gen again. They're just like they need water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want them to need water, but not really. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest with you, not in bulking. The 2 gallons, I just hit 46 pounds off 12 lights. So, I
Nice.
mean, you know what I mean? You can't go wrong.
No.
I proved the whole thing by switching to the 2 gallons. You know what I hit before that? 34 or something.
I
Seriously.
mean,
It
yeah.
went up. It went up to 25% or 20%. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's awesome. So throughout all of your time and maybe more of like from that point that you talked about where you're like, I'm winning awards now, I'm gonna stay serious about this. What are some of the biggest setbacks that you've faced in the garden and some of the biggest successes that you've had in the garden where you found the most like learning experience from?
Um, Fuck, man, setbacks. I think setbacks. I mean, I've continued to learn no matter what. So, and life just keeps on going. Even outside of that tent or wherever you're at. Spare bedroom, basement, facility, whatever. Um, there's been a lot of setbacks. Fuck, a lot more life setbacks into the garden because the garden is where I take all of those life setbacks and I put them in there and I chew them up and I shit them out. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the
Yeah,
day, I got bomb ass flour because I've gone through, like just like everybody, you go through depression. Life is rough, dude.
it
Sometimes
is.
it ain't easy out here. So, especially in this industry, there's a bunch of, great people and then there's a bunch of not so great people. So, um, having your own space that you can go in and turn some music on. But fuck, I don't even care if you got clothes on, dude. You go in there and dance around naked if you want to. You know what I'm saying? No shoes, whatever, bro. I mean, watch out for the if you got wet floors with that food, but I'm saying walk in there in a pair of flip flops and no shirt and a pair of shorts like you're in Maui or something and pluck leaves or um just be proud of something that's another thing about being craft. Like I can fail big time in this garden if I drop the ball. But at the end of the day, when it's in the bag, bro, that's all you right there. No one can claim that flower. You know what I mean? That's all
For
your
sure.
pain, your passion, all every bit of passion you had in the last 63 days, all your pain, all your, and that it determines how great the harvest is. You know what I mean? Like really, like, how great was life. And that's a great part about growing this plant. You can reset your life as long as your basic needs are met and you can have some stability, you can basically reset your life and your outlook every 63 days, 6 times a year. You're just
Yeah.
like, bro, I got a great run going. Like, this is fucking amazing. This is the coolest shit. You got a shit run going because you didn't pay
It
no
sucks.
attention or didn't have the attention span that run or you missed a leafing or whatever and you look at the product and you're like, yeah, man, this is badass, and in your heart you're like, fuck, I missed it. You know what I'm saying? Well,
Yeah.
that's what you get. That's
Drop
what
the
you get for
ball.
fucking shorting it. Let it be a lesson in life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And move on the
Well,
next time and be the best you can be the next fucking time.
for
60
sure.
days later, bro. It's only 2 months. It's not that tough.
Let's adjust the question slightly. Um, what what do you feel like was just one of your biggest learning experiences in growing?
um, Straying away from listening to what everyone says you're supposed to do or whatever, and finding a community of people that actually grow great flower and having the nuts to ask them what they do and how that's been my biggest kind of was my biggest power up in this industry, was just like putting myself out there, being a little bit more vulnerable, obviously on IG and whatever. But finding the people that I wanted to emulate, right? And the way they grew or the successes that they had, and then just ask them like, yo, what are you doing in veg?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what day is that? Holy shit. Like, and then some of those guys are like my best friends now. So it's that's kind of been my biggest. And don't worry about biggest lesson: keep your pH in check, and don't worry about EC.
Yeah, fair enough.
You
Fair
know,
enough. That's I mean I feel like on your first point there, I think that that's really salient to have the ability to, or the humility to reach out to people that you think are doing better than you and asking them how they're doing it so that you can try and glean some information from them. Rather than, I feel like a lot of growers are very bullheaded and they think that their grow style is either the best or it's the only way that they can do it. A lot of times I hear from growers that were growing for, 20, 30 years, that's their excuse for why they do something a certain way is I've been doing it this way for 30 years. And in a lot of ways, just because you're doing something for 30 years doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best way to do it. And so if you're
right? I mean, things move along.
absolutely,
It's like, and also there, you just kind of have to consider, not even in growing, just in life, in
yeah,
everything. You're like, well, maybe there's a different way. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, maybe he's right. Like if I hear something and it sounds fucking ignorant, I'm definitely not going to implement it in my garden. But if I'm like, man, that makes sense. Like
I'll
I
try it.
try it.
I'll
I'll
put it
try it.
next to something.
Oh hell yeah,
Right?
for sure. I try it, and that's where I started getting to pushing those like no runoff till day 21. People used to be like, oh my god, there's no way you're gonna be so high EC, you're gonna burn them up or whatever. I'm like, dude, I can't even hold this garden in, dude. I need more netting. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
need to hire hands to just stand around it and hold it in. Like seriously, it's blowing out of my room. Um, and that leaky gutter, I think I'm trying to kind of patent. This is kind of my goal or trademark, or just kind of bring to attention that leaky gutter style of growing. Get them wet when the lights come on. The sun comes up, get the plant wet. Wait 90 minutes and let the gutter leak on that bitch all day. Every 90 minutes, something just pukes out of the gutter. Blech. It rained a little bit or something. The plant wants water. It'll keep it in that vegetative bulking phase every minute that the lights are on. Lights go off, boom. You never got no runoff with your P2s. They go all night. There's no pull on the plant because there's no light, right? All there is just wind, right? And temperature. So keep your VPD in check. That's another big thing. You know, zero point 0.9 to 1.2, maybe 3. At the end, you're going to drop your humidity real high. So your VPD might be like a 1.4 at times. Just because of the low humidity, not because of like, anything harsh, just to keep the bud rot and shit out of there. But um, yeah, I mean it's that leaky ass gutter. It's like the bush on the corner of the house where the gutter runs down. Is you're like, dude, that bush grows like crazy, and this one over here away from the gutter is like gin steered and is like kind of pretty. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like
It
it makes
flowered early.
one. It'll make one really pretty rose or one really pretty flower. But
Yeah,
the bush over here that's got the leaky gutter will make like 1,000 roses that are gorgeous. You know what I mean? So that's kind of, I think, the theory behind crop steering and how we can have success with it rather than getting caught up in knowing everything or,
for
just
sure.
make sense of it, dude. Like,
Yeah, I had Ramsey Nubani on the podcast recently, and he made a very good point where he was saying, everyone's crop steering if they're doing something with intention when they're irrigating the plant, right? Like if you're doing something that you think, oh, if I irrigate, then this is what's going to happen, you're crop steering.
you're right. But if
If
you're
you
reading out
change
of a
the
book,
environment,
for
you're
sure.
you're crop steering.
Hmm.
If you're changing the light intensity to get a
Hmm.
specific response, you're crop steering. All these
Hmm.
different things are forms of crop steering,
Hmm.
and I do feel as though once you get the idea of why you do certain things at certain points, it makes a lot more sense. And the way that I've been teaching people and helping like share information about it when people have asked is I say, well, you want to think you're going vegetative, generative, vegetative, generative. And then
Right.
what that means is low stress, high stress, low stress, high stress. And when people are thinking about, well, why do you have the low stress part in the flower? Like, what's the point of that? It's like what you're talking about, where you're trying to get as much growth potential out of these flowers that are already there, already set, that
Right,
can swell and produce more trichome surface area and just increase the overall potency,
right.
density, and weight of that flower.
Well, what I'm trying to do, honestly, is I'm trying to do what would never happen in nature.
Right.
I'm trying to make the main break. You know what I mean? During that bulking, you know what I'm saying? Everything in the world grows basically generative. You know what I'm saying? When there's an anomaly in that generative steer, because everything grows rain, no rain, dry, not dry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, any kind of flower, any kind of bush, tree, all of it. They grow kind of generative. If the main breaks underneath the oak tree, I will guarantee you that bitch will grow 100 foot tall. You know what I'm saying? It's just the way it works. If it's getting constant water, they'll adapt to it. Now you can't go crazy because of the life of a cannabis plant, only 63 days in flower. But to a certain degree, like you don't want to leave a valve on. You've
Right.
now overwatered, right? You know what I'm saying?
For
But
sure. Well, it's like if you've taken the same cultivar and ran it vegetative the entire time, right? Where
tiny
you just
buds, very
pu-
beautiful.
beautiful tiny little buds, right? Lots of green all the way to the end. It takes forever to senesce. Um, any
Yep.
colors that you would get come later, if at all,
70
or
days,
and
70
then
dayer. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
70 days, or you run it exact opposite, right? Like generative, you just bring it to field capacity once a day and then let it ride that huge dryback all the way through. You'll get these beautiful frosty like picturesque buds, but you're going to get like a quarter of the yield.
Pound and a half of light.
If even.
That's how we grew. That's how we used to do it, bro.
But that
We're
shit
like,
was
oh, these
fire.
don't need water. These don't need water.
Yep.
These are still heavy, dude. It doesn't matter. The lights are on. They want water. Like if you figure out your substrate, you figure out your EC, right, and you figure out your shot volume, bro. Like you just make the gutter leak all day long.
Yeah. Do you
Mine wakes
do
me
you
up in my sleep. I wake up just to make sure the gutter's still leaking. Seriously.
fair enough. Yeah, got to make sure.
Yeah.
Do you do anything additional to your plants that you feel like maybe might be on some other people's regiments, might not?
Yeah,
I
I
like
mean,
some people
my
inoculate.
leafing schedule is a little different. My leafing
Okay,
schedule, which is tough, man. I mean, seriously, there's a lot of leaves in there for one guy and his girl. Um, but I s- typically in a perfect world, I'll start to leaf about day 10 or 11. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll leaf and then I'll get one more good spray in of sulfur on like day 12. And that's the last time I'll spray. And I don't see powder. You know what I mean? I don't see any powder. Um, or any, there's no vacancy. So how could powder grow if it's full of sulfur? Um, but I'll leaf on like day 10. I'll try to leaf again on 21. And then I try to, ideally, in a perfect world, I'll try to leaf basically the whole way out. If I see it, I pull it. So if I'm in there doing a garden check, it's 1/2 of an hour per day. I'll run down every
of
row and
pulling
I'll
leaves.
pull
Yeah,
and I'll pull two big fans off of every plant. And typically, you can stay ahead of those fuckers unless you got some crazy, stupid plant that just wants to grow a bunch of leaf, which happens, but not often with these candies and stuff. They're usually my plants don't have a lot of leaf. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
if you keep up with them, if you get behind them, they will bury you in leaf. You'll never unbury yourself. You better just brace for the next round and give it up. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
goes back to the
No,
passion you put into it. Goes back to everything. If you short that garden, it will short you.
for sure.
Attention. It's the same with any relationship. It's a relationship with a living thing, right? So if you short the attention you give it, you ain't going to get back what you wanted to get back. It's
Nope.
just like a girl. If you don't rub her the right way, you ain't getting back what you want back.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of us call the plants in the garden our ladies, right?
It is
So
my ladies. It's one of my ladies for sure.
that's
It's what
funny.
makes me my money. She's a worker too, bro. He's out there.
So before the show, you and I were kind of talking about different under canopy lights that we like to use, and that we're both using them in our gardens. What were some of the things that you had to implement or change when you started using under canopy lights, and how did they affect your gardening style?
Far less lowers. So it immediate labor cut. So when I started messing with under canopies, I kind of figured out because basically no lowers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If you set the height right on your under canopies, and shout out to Craft Farmer. I mean, honestly, Lance, he's one of my best friends out there. All right. The dude is like, I'm older, all right, but I respect. We have a respect for each other that just I just love what he's done in the industry, and he's proven that there is a lot of different ways to success here, right?
yeah.
So maybe you want to grow flower, maybe you want to invent a drip tray, maybe you want to invent an under canopy light. And I got to be honest with you, that dude invented under canopy lighting. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what anybody
He
says.
he definitely set the standard.
He
Like
he.
his
Nobody was doing it before him. You know what I mean? They only got interested just the way that this industry is, which is one of the turnoffs. But I don't get involved, dude. I'm at the top of a mountain. But but
yeah.
but one of the things uh, is that there's some snakes out here. You know what I mean? And no, of course nobody's going to let him just ride that motherfucker into the sunset. Like everybody's got to invent their own under canopy light. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, I've seen them all. I've put my hands. I've put my hands on all of those lights. I would say, without being disrespectful, 85% are fucking straight trash.
There's a fair amount of them that are not
Garbage.
necessarily as not even close to the same realm of
It's the build. It's the
usability.
fit and finish, bro. It's the
It
fit and
is.
finish. His are like a MacBook Pro. Are you a Mac guy,
Yeah.
or do you like to use uh, uh
A
I don't know,
Surface Pro.
a gateway,
Yeah.
motherfucker? You know what I mean? You know what I
No,
mean?
I
I ain't
feel that.
putting gateways underneath my canopy, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like I was saying, it definitely set the standard of for quality, and it does the job as advertised.
Yeah,
So,
best. I haven't
um,
never had one fail. You know what I mean? I've never had a farmer light fail. Never once.
what were some of the? Did you have to make any changes? Because I know that some people, when they implement under canopy lights, their room might not necessarily be specced out to handle the extra BTUs. They might have to adjust their pruning or their
Yep.
defoliation practices. They might even have to adjust their irrigation practices, since the substrate tends to be a little bit hotter, temperature wise, not necessarily EC wise, right?
Well,
So
maybe the VPD down through the center of the canopy is going to be a little different. You know what
it
I'm saying?
is, absolutely. And you're adding all of that far red as well. So you
For
get a
sure.
little bit of different response from that,
For sure.
depending on the spectrum of the lights that you're using for overheads. But tell us a little bit about some of the practices that you've changed in terms of
Um.
how you're going about implementing these
Well,
under canopy lights.
that right there relates back to where I de-leaf. So that's what I was saying. So obviously, dehumidification is always a challenge, or can be, unless you're just overbuilt. But most of the time, when you make that jump, the room wasn't built for UCs. It was, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So, my biggest thing, I think a lot of that was where the deleafing came from, the way I do 10, 40. Because what I'm trying
sure.
to do is trying to take biomass out of the room. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm my own dehumidifier to a certain degree. I'll take a bin of leaf out of
Sure.
that room. I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah, and
so
if you're
that's
reducing
a
the
lot of
overall,
where, and from that, I've gotten a lot more quality bud. And I've gotten just, I don't know, man. A lot of guys are like, well, if you de-leaf at day 10, doesn't it just grow more leaf? And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't
Depends on
fucking
the
know, dude.
irrigation.
You know what I
Depends
mean?
on
But
your
I can't
environment.
wait till
Yeah.
day 21 or I'm buried and I have a panic attack. So I don't know what to tell you. You know, I
No,
mean, it's just,
I've had
it's
to run
just,
into the same thing with dehumidification where you're like, you are the dehumidifier at that point by reducing the leaf area index, right? You're just like, oh shit, I need to bring this down by like half in order to make sure that like
well, how do you want
I
it? How
can
are you going to get half the humidity out of the room? Take half the fucking leaf out of the room, dude.
that definitely pushes you towards that, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Turn on some
Um,
fans, turn water a little bit less. I mean, there's a lot of things I've done, I think, to I really haven't seen a heat difference from
okay.
the craft farmer. Maybe I run a degree colder on my mini splits or something, but not. I didn't see anything crazy.
You
You know
said
what I mean?
you have 12 lights?
It's just 12 lights. Yeah, it's 12 lights
How
on.
many
It's I
tons
got
of
four. I got four 15-foot benches. So
how many tons of D or of AC do you have?
I've got two 4 tons. I want to say.
Oh, you're well specced in then for under canopy lights. Yeah, that's I I'm envious. That's a 12 lighter with 8 tons of AC is awesome.
Yeah, or maybe it's a two and a four. I don't know. I'd have to go out and look again. But they keep up.
For
They
sure.
keep up. They
I
don't.
had to
They won't
drop the
hold temperature
overheads.
though. They won't hold temperature. Like I can set them on 78 and it's 82. You know what I mean? Like you still got to
Yeah,
work with them, bro. You know what I'm saying?
fair.
Like you know how it is. You still got to do your
Did
thing.
you find that you had to turn down the overhead lights at all when you implemented the under canopy lights? Either for like
No,
sometimes I'd see like more vegetative like pistil formation towards the
no.
end of bulking, where I'm like, I
I
want it
run
to
it.
start to senesce.
I work my lights up and then I work them back down.
Okay,
I work them down about start of week 8. So week 8 and
okay.
9, I'll go down to like 80% at week 8, the beginning of week 8.
So you
And
stay
just because I don't
at
want to
100 for
cook
like
I
5
don't want to
weeks.
cook the tops. You know what I mean? I don't want to
Yeah,
burn. I don't want to amber out. Like the tops are up there just getting abused. Everything in the middle looks great. You know what I'm saying? But the
yeah.
tops are out there just getting beat up by wind and sun and everything. So I'll go to 80. Then I'll wait a few days. I'll go to 60 or 70, whatever. I work it
Sure.
down till at the end I'm at the 40, the minimum. And the minimum my controller will run, anyways. And I'll get her
Well, I'm
down to
sure it's
40.
cultivar dependent, right?
And well, a couple of my buddies will cut it off, cut the lights off for a day, like a 20
Okay.
to 40 hours before they harvest, and they claim they love it. But
Oh, sorry, I meant it's cultivar dependent though in terms of the
when they
rate at which
finish,
you ramp it down, right? Like
yeah,
based
for
on how it
sure.
finesses.
And I don't
Okay,
have that control, so it's just kind of like I just start right around week 8,
sure.
and just start to lower it because I know the tops are done. I can look at them; they're fucking beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So it's really like they're finished. I get my glass out. I look at them. There's a couple ambers. I'm like, those are done. Then you go down lower. You're like, it's all clears. You're like, fuck. So there's
Yeah.
a dance in there somewhere in the middle of the canopy. I think if you want consistent packs or whatever, um, there's definitely a dance to do with the finishing or whatever. But I've usually got 4 or 6. Fuck, I ran 8 strains in this room, 12 lights. You know, you just gotta generalize, to some point, you just like fuck, you drive yourself crazy trying to finish them all at the same time. You never do it. They're all different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them have to get harvested early, unfortunately, and
I
some of
mean, I
them
got strains that'll finish at 45 days, bro. I swear to God.
I ran some under canopy lights and we had like a hiccup in the room where it got really cold and really dry for like a day at like day 35 or 40 somewhere around there, and immediately everything started to senesce, and so we just were like, it's already bulked up enough, so let's just push it into the final, like into finishing, and we just dropped the EC, dropped the temps, dropped the humidity, and maintained that, and it finished at like day 50, and it was something that normally ran till like 65.
63. Yeah,
Yeah,
63, 65. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that happens, and that's the cool part about this plant. It's very adaptable too, like you can bulk it early. If they're raging, get it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Get it. You might stretch them out a little bit. You might have some different growth or whatever, but at the end of the day, like if you keep your plant maintenance up to snuff and you keep your pH in check, you will crush it with that harvest. You know what I mean? Like just let the plant. That's the biggest thing. Like everybody's trying to chase these drybacks. I'm like, dude, I'll let the dryback chase me. Like I watch the graph start to go down. I'm like, shit, these things are dry. Or I go in there one night and I'm like, these ain't wet enough. It lights on. Like the lights have been on for an hour and these things have been dry. That's generative, bro.
For sure.
Like if they're not wet when the lights come on, you got a problem. If you go in there before your first P1 and them things are light, that's not good, bro. They've been wanting water
Yeah, definitely.
all
I
night
mean,
long, all night long too. You know, and at nighttime there's some important shit going on. You know.
absolutely. Are you doing all your own propagation on site as well?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I keep all
What
the yeah, man. I keep all the craft farmer moms. I keep all the I keep all the genetics out here. So I'm
What are some of your tips and tricks in the cloning room? That's one of my
the
favorite parts of the grow.
I mean, I don't. I'm not a fan of at this point. I tips in the cloning room. Shit. I mean, I do pretty well. I have probably right now about 80%, 85. But I used to have 100 like it wasn't anything. I've been dancing around with rock wool because everybody wanted rock wool. Um, and I kick myself every time I do it. I just can't get used to rock wool. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
those root riots, I get these banging ass roots, but they don't last very long in the tray. So I think there's kickbacks to them, like the root
Sure.
riots, they root, put them in some soil, they will bust, they're just crazy.
Have you
Um,
tried the cocoa coins?
I have not tried the coins, dude.
Oh,
Are
dude,
they
they
are they
crush.
crushing? They
They
crush.
crush. They crush. And dude,
Is it is it
I've kept
Groquar or what's the Charquar?
Charquar.
Okay.
I've used it now where like like so I don't know how big your library is, but we keep like 150 cultivars on site. And so there's sometimes where I like need to replace one of them, but I only have it as a clone and it's been sitting there for like a month and it's just still chugging along in this little tiny cocoa coin. It's already like 2 feet tall.
2 foot
And
tall in a coin.
yeah,
What do you
so
charge
they
them in? What do you
uh
charge them in? 306 or something?
1 3 to charge, and then like once they're fully rooted, maintained at like 2 0 to 2 5.
No, 1.3.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'd
They
I've done a
must be
little bit of
clean. They must be clean as fuck, dude. Them coins.
yeah. Well, I've done a little bit of research about callus formation, and there's a threshold where callus doesn't really like to form at the cut end of the plant if the EC is too high. And so sometimes you'll get more robust root growth out of the side of the stalk of the clone rather than out of the
Instead of the
base.
bottom.
Right, rather than the basal cut end. And so I try to promote that callus growth because for some reason I just always find that when it does callus over, like, and if you pull that clone media open and you dissect it and it's all
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
knotted
do it
up
all
at
the
the
time.
end and
Yeah.
it looks good, those are the plants that do the best. And the ones that have that, all the roots come out the side, but then the bottom, sometimes it just doesn't do anything, or it's just still woody, or it just sometimes even rots
I
off
hate
or
it.
something.
I hate it.
I
Yeah.
hate that, but they never do that good. But it always seems to me like it was happening when they wouldn't callus, and so I just got it in my head after doing a little research that 1.3 EC was kind of the place to be for that to occur. But then
All
as soon
right.
as it
Well, I'm
calluses
going with
over,
it.
I push it up.
I'm going
Uh,
with it. Hey,
yeah,
look at this shit, bro. Check this shit out. I think I'll keep your signal.
going on a little tour.
Yeah, look at how beautiful it is out here, bro.
Oh, nice,
Fucking mountain life, dude. Hang on, I'll show you
love it.
some other stuff. Here's my
Doing a little
girl. Say hi.
hello.
All right, bro. Sunsets up here, next level.
Nice. You said you're in the Sierra Nevadas.
We're in the Nevadas. Yep, Sierra Nevadas. Is that right, babe? Yep, Yeah, I think we're in the Sierra Nevadas.
What town?
It's by Murphy's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Murphy's,
Nice.
California. It's like I think Murphy's like 15 miles or something.
For sure. Yeah, I used to spend summers up in like Sonora area.
Okay, yeah. So you know Angels Camp.
Yep. Twain Hart,
Yeah,
Hetch Hetchy.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that's up Yosemite area. But we used to go to Hetch Hetchy for bluesgrass festivals all the time.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, for sure.
yeah, I miss it up there in the mountains. It's beautiful up there.
Yeah,
And
Mountain
so you,
Ranch. You ever heard of Mountain Ranch?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little wild up there, but
Well, so you've been through like just a whole bunch of changes in the industry, right? From going legalization, you started pre-legalization, right? You've gone through the different legalized markets, medical, recreational. You've faced charges for it, right? So you've
Mhm.
seen so many different sides of what cannabis has to offer, goods, bads, ups, downs. What are some of the things that you would want to see change in the cannabis industry over the next 5 to 10 years? And it can be
uh,
realistic, it can be fantastical, it can be whatever it is that it's in your mind where like, man, I just wish that this would happen.
yeah. I just kind of wish that they would, you know, a guy could grow a whole field of tomatoes. You know what I'm saying? I just wish that there wasn't a criminal element to it. Like there's still fly helicopters around, and
Yeah.
it ain't that fucking big a deal, man. You know what I mean? Like I lost my family basically. You know what I mean? I have a 22-year-old daughter that lived without a fucking dad for a long time with I could be growing corn. What do we got? Some illegal ass corn, bro? Like seriously, dude, it's a plant. Like how much damage can I do? And really, if I figure out a way to make it a commercial operation or something, good for me, bro. That's the American way. You know what I mean? Like somebody found a loophole how to grow tomatoes and make $1 million. Nobody got fucking busted for that. You know what I
Yep.
mean? It's just kind of like I wish they would just let us go. You know what I mean? Just let people do what they got to do to survive in this fucking shitty government we have, shitty leadership, racist people, just the whole shit. Just let me do my damn thing. I'm not hurting anybody. You know what I mean? It's these trappers. It's the creating the criminal element in
Yeah.
that makes trappers from fucking Atlanta come and get 500 pounds and they're shooting each other over fucking weed in Atlanta. It's just like, come on, man. You know what I mean? A bunch of trappers. They ought to be selling crack, dude. Seriously. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's
Stupid.
just so much like the criminalization creates so many areas where the activity has to be, you know,
Yeah,
it
it's
becomes
terrible.
problematic in and of itself just because of the criminality attached
Absolutely.
to it.
Right. You just
And
let people go. You're like, yeah, do what you guys want to do. It'll
I,
sort
I
itself
know,
out.
I'd say 75% of the people that I talk to, if they grew illegally, grow illegally, or are planning to grow illegally, would be completely fine with paying taxes on it if they could just file for their taxes and just follow whatever,
Right.
regulations that they would need to, as long as it was an open market that they had access to.
For sure. If I have a place to invest and I've got a spot for my art, if I can get an ROI, like you're like, okay, and then you can go to the farmer's market with your tomatoes.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's all
Right.
good. You just buy a spot and all you do is
Yeah.
you just set your fruit up real pretty and people come every Saturday and Sunday and they buy it. You know what I mean?
That
That
would be
like,
ideal.
or I can ship it, you know, like quit making me break the fucking rules, bro. It's
Yeah.
stupid. You know what I mean? Like you're making me a criminal at this point. Like
Yeah.
what
I
else am
mean,
I supposed to fucking do? This is what I do. This
cannabis is
is
going to
what
get grown. People are
yeah,
going to
yeah,
smoke it.
at my house, I'm growing. I mean, eat a dick, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like quit making me scared. You know what I mean? Like I should be able to whip around with my tomatoes just fucking like everybody else. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I
I
agree with
raise
that.
chickens, motherfucker. I got chickens. I got my neighbors got chickens. Them fuckers drive me nuts. Seriously.
I know, especially
Got
when they're not a
dogs
few
too.
though.
Them fucking dogs, they act like there's a babe. Tell them this acts like it sounds like there's a wolves up there fighting and shit. I'm like, what is going on at the neighbor's house? It literally sounds like Michael Vick's house, bro. It's terrible.
Oh my God, that's
They're
terrible.
fighting. They're howling. There's something you can tell. Occasionally, you can tell one of them's injured. You're like, shit, there's something's injured up there. It's yelping, whatever. I'm like, my little plants don't do nothing. They just sit in the garage. That's all they do.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I do know what you mean. It's like if I ain't hurting nobody, then why are you trying to hurt me?
Yeah, leave me alone, bro. I'll call you if I
Leave
need
me
you.
alone. Yeah,
Right.
I'm just here.
First.
I'm smoking my plants.
Yeah.
Let's see. How am I going to phrase this question? So, a lot of I feel like Instagram growers, right? Like I'm an Instagram grower. I show my shit on Instagram, right? You're an Instagram grower. You show your plants on Instagram. A lot of people that see people that are growing at scale, they get reached out to a lot with questions, and I'm sure that you get questions all the time about, hey, dude, I saw that you posted this awesome flower. How did you do that? Can you teach me? What do you think would be something that you would say to a new grower that you would feel like would be just invaluable advice? And what pitfalls might you help them avoid?
Don't be afraid to ask. Um, if they're a dick to you, move on to the next guy and ask him. Because if they come to me, I answer every single fucking question I get. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're following around on Instagram and you're following growers that you look at their flower, I mean, I get deleted, dude. I've lost shit. It sucked the wind out of my sails. I've lost pages, that I took years to build. And
I'd be
but if people
devastated,
reach
dude.
out to me, there's a new algorithm out there. If and I just answer them, like, and I get dumb questions. I get guys that are probably better growers than me asking questions. Like,
For
I
sure.
answer everything, and I just try to have consideration for everybody, and they're just trying to figure it out. I don't have life figured out. Like, everybody's got something to offer. Like, maybe they've got an EC question, and I need help with Bitcoin or something.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like, seriously, there's definitely a way the relationship can be mutually beneficial. And so I try to nurture the relationships that have the nuts to reach out to me and are like, yo, hey, what size cocoa bags are like? I spend all day answering questions.
Yep.
Like, seriously, like
I've
hundreds
had
a day.
great relationships and friendships sort of start with people asking questions where we just almost grow together. Where if one of their questions might get me thinking down a certain path, and it might help me like sort of form a more holistic view of a specific aspect of the grow, where I can be like, oh shit, I see how these are tying now, and I can
Yeah,
explain that
for
better to
sure.
people just through this conversation that I had with this person who reached out with a question. And
No,
so
for sure. I have
I
I
love that.
have a lot of great relationships that have been built um, on IG. It is what it is. Some of my best friends in the world. Honestly, now after all these years, they're like, "Are you going to the Cup or whatever?" We've met up at BizCon. We've met up at just um, as a matter of fact, I'm getting married in August, and
Oh,
and
congrats.
a guy that I met in at Biz or at the Farmers Cup like several years ago, Wowtown, he's like, he's an idol to me. He's not my idol, but he's I really look up to him. I really look up to him. I respect him a lot. He's gonna be the witness at my wedding. Him and his
Dope.
wife. So it's like,
Yeah.
it goes a lot deeper than just the plant and why I think the greats grow great weed. And it's not just how you're growing it. It's who the fuck is growing it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
why? And what's it mean to you? And that's almost as important as the substrate and the EC and the pH. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like every flower that I try, it takes on the personality of like the grower. And you can, like with breeders, with growers, I feel like I can start to pick up on their style after a while. I can there's like a uniqueness to it. You know, whether they're
Yeah.
growing OGs or purples or some old haze or something, there's going to be something to it that you can find like a uniformity where you're going to be like, oh, this guy grew it. If I've already had his weed before, I can tell.
Well, I mean, you can just tell the passion in the heart.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You can tell what people put in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've gotten through most of the questions that I had lined up. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? Any other parts of your grow that you feel like we didn't touch on that you hold very special or that you feel might be unique to you?
Well, I mean, I just kind of think I mean, if you're trying to do a wrap up, I just, think like, it's a special path to be able to grow this plant for a living. You know what I'm saying? Um, and people that do that should do the best that they can to be the best at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, really put your best foot forward. Try to understand what's going on with this plant, and put in the time and effort to be the to try to do the best you can. It's a career that you have an opportunity to do that. You know what I mean? A lot of
Yep.
places you're just like, you have to move up in the hierarchy by, I guess, I don't know what time or length of time you've worked at H&R Block or something. You know what I'm saying? Fuck that shit. It's just like seniority. Fuck your seniority. Put some good flour on the table. I don't care if you've been growing for 6 months, dude. You're the best there is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, there is no time limit. There's no HR. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Um,
I always like to tell people, especially home growers, it's never too late to start growing, and the best thing that they can do is just start growing.
I mean, bro, seriously. No, it's an amazing career if you got the heart and the passion and the soul to do it and deal with some of the ups and downs. It's not linear. Um,
It's a
it's a
roller
very
coaster.
non-linear career, but I think at the end of the day, if you can thread the needles, there is a much much better life for you than there would be if you starting doing taxes or something. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. I was a chef before this, and I
I
can't
mean,
really sit still. Can't I don't like to sit in an office chair.
that's what I'm saying, bro. So it ain't for the faint of heart, but the people here got the biggest hearts. You know what I mean? So I don't know
Absolutely.
how to explain it. You know what I
That's
mean?
a great ending note. Dude, this
Yeah.
has been a great conversation. I think that the audience is really gonna like this.
And I got to piss too. Yeah, and I got to piss.
Oh, well, let me just wrap it up with a couple of quick wrap up questions for you. What's your favorite strain of all time?
Favorite strain of all time: reverse cowgirl.
Okay,
It's a straight candy breath times dosi pie. My Josh with the dreads from Port Townsend, he created it. I hunted it. Me and Blake, and it's fire. So wait
nice.
for that. And what's your next question?
Favorite breeder of all time?
Favorite breeder?
Yeah.
Uh, Trees on Fire, Casey.
Okay.
My buddy Casey, Trees on Fire. Look up on IG, Trees on Fire. I think it's at Trees on Fire, maybe underscore. If you type on TreezonFire, Trees on Fire.
All right. Cool. And
The,
then
the,
last
the the
question.
best breeder I've ever messed with. Yep.
Nice. I'll have to look them up.
Yep.
And then the last question: what's your most memorable cannabis or smoking related experience?
Well, my most memorable related experience was just in the last short little period of time. I was at the grocery store and I met a girl in the grocery line, and my flower, because I've had a lot of shit. I've won awards and all these things or whatever, but what means the most was she was like, "Hey, can you get some flour?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can. I'm actually a grower. The trimmers just left or whatever." I gave her some flour, right?
Hmm.
And now time's passed or whatever. I'm about to marry the girl. You know what I'm saying? Seriously,
Yo, that's what's up.
right? You know what I'm saying? So
That's awesome, dude.
that's really, out of all the awards and all the shit, my favorite part after all the things I've been through was meeting someone to ride this motherfucker out with. You know what I'm saying? Because growing, it's lonely, bro. Come on.
Hell yeah.
You know
I
what I
feel
mean?
that. Well, dude, this has been a great show. Thank you so much for your time. I can tell that you are pacing and you got to go use the
Nah,
head.
man, I'm
So,
just out here, dude. I start pacing after a while, you know.
for
But
sure.
but I do gotta piss. But that's
Well,
Om
fair
Grohs
enough.
behavior, you know.
But again, thank you so much for spending the time with me to talk about your story and share some of your experiences and knowledge with the guests here. I really think that they'll be able to pick up some good gems from this one.
Well, for sure. Tell them to holler at me anytime. I answer the phone in the middle of the night. Seriously.
Right on. Right
You ever
on.
got
Well,
a grow question? Anything. Free 99, homie. Seriously. Free
hell yeah.
99.
Well, for everyone, when this goes live, there'll be links in on Instagram for our profiles to this episode. So, yeah, thanks again, dude. Much appreciated,
Respect.
and growers love.
Respect, homie. I appreciate you.
Right on.